Hey, welcome to The Explainer. All right, today we're diving into something that works silently in the background, but can literally mean the difference between a smooth day at the office and a total catastrophe for your business. We're talking about proactive IT monitoring. And let me tell you, ignoring it can cost you a lot.
So let's just kick things off with a number that should really make you sit up and listen. $8,000. That's the average cost to a small business for every single hour their systems are down. Nope, that's not a typo. We're talking every 60 minutes of a server failure or a network outage could be an $8,000 hole in your pocket.
So, I have to ask, and be honest with yourself here, is your business really, truly prepared to handle that kind of financial bleeding? Can you actually afford to just sit around and wait for something to break?
And look, this isn't some abstract number pulled out of thin air. This is the real cost of lost sales because your payment system goes down during the lunch rush. It's the price you pay when your team is just sitting there, completely crippled, unable to access the files they need to do their jobs. And it's the damage to your reputation when customers get frustrated because your app or your website just isn't working. It's a direct drain, and it hits both productivity and your bottom line.
So what's the move? How do you fight a problem that can strike at any moment, day or night? Well, you don't wait for the fire alarm to go off. You post a guard. And that's exactly what proactive IT monitoring is. Think of it as your business's very own 24/7 digital watchdog, constantly on patrol, ready to stop trouble before it even starts.
Now, here's the crucial thing to get, right? Proactive IT monitoring isn't about running around and fixing things after they've already broken. No, it's about having a continuous, round-the-clock set of eyes on your entire IT world. The whole point is to spot those tiny warning signs. You know, a server that's running a little too hot or some unusual traffic on the network, and then fix them before they blow up into one of those $8,000 an hour disasters.
So what exactly is this digital watchdog keeping its eyes on? Well, it starts with the foundation, your infrastructure health, making sure your servers and storage are rock solid. Then it watches all the pathways, monitoring your network performance to make sure data is flowing smoothly and there are no bottlenecks or threats. It also keeps tabs on your application performance, the tools you and your customers actually use every day. And, maybe most importantly, it analyzes security events in real time, kind of like a digital immune system, ready to neutralize threats the second they appear.
Okay, so the idea sounds great, right? But let's get real. What does this actually look like in practice? A good monitoring strategy isn't just theory. It's a practical, step-by-step plan that delivers results you can actually see on your bottom line. You know, putting together a solid strategy isn't rocket science. It really follows a clear path. First, you've got to identify your critical assets. What are the systems you absolutely positively cannot live without? Then, you pick the right tools to watch over them. Now, here's where the real magic happens. You establish performance baselines. That's basically figuring out what normal looks like. That way, your smart alerts only go off when something is genuinely wrong, letting you catch issues super early. And of course, since your business is always changing, you have to constantly review and adjust your strategy to keep up. And you don't have to just take my word for it. The results? They're pretty incredible. Take a retail chain that was dealing with constant point-of-sale failures. After implementing this, they cut their downtime by 70%, which led to a 15% jump in sales. Or an IT services company that went from meeting their service agreements 85% of the time to 98%. Their client retention went through the roof. And in healthcare, a clinic blocked multiple ransomware attempts before they could do any damage. The impact is real and it is measurable. All right, but here's the thing. Just keeping your systems running, that's really only half the story. Proactive monitoring is also absolutely essential for navigating the crazy, complex world of data regulations and legal compliance. And believe me, getting this wrong can be just as expensive as any downtime.
Let's look at a couple of the heavy hitters you've probably heard of: GDPR and CCPA. If you handle data from anyone in the European Union, GDPR says you have to monitor how that data is being used and report any breaches fast. And if you have customers in California, CCPA requires you to have strong security in place, including monitoring to protect against unauthorized access.
And it doesn't stop there. Depending on your industry, things get even more specific. If you're in healthcare, HIPAA demands that you strictly monitor who is looking at patient information. And if your business accepts credit cards, which is, let's face it, pretty much everyone, then PCI DSS rules require you to continuously monitor your network to keep all that financial data safe.
Okay, I know. This can all sound like a lot, right? But don't worry, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are established gold standard frameworks out there, like the NIST cybersecurity framework and ISO 27001. Think of these less as a bunch of scary rules and more like helpful blueprints for building a secure system that earns your customers' trust. All right, we've talked about the problem, we've laid out the solution, and we know what's at stake. So let's wrap this all up with a clear, simple action plan you can use to take control of your IT health starting today.
So, what are your next moves? It boils down to 4 simple steps. 1. Start with an IT audit. You need a clear map of your systems and where the weak spots are. 2. Use that map to pick the right monitoring solutions for your specific business. 3. Remember that tools are only as good as the people using them, so train your team. And 4. Make compliance reviews a regular habit. The threats are always evolving, and your defenses have to as well.
You know, when you boil it all down, it comes back to this one really powerful idea. When you make sure your monitoring practices line up with industry rules, you're not just checking a box, you're protecting the very foundation of your business. Not just your data, but your hard-earned reputation.
So I'm going to leave you with this one last question to think about. Your website is taking orders, your servers are storing critical information, and your entire network is humming along, even when you're at home asleep. Your business runs 24/7. So the real question is, who's watching it right now?